I think that a lot of people who have more chronic pain may be dependent on a medication, but it doesn't completely consume them. It helps them to function. It helps them to be able to go out and do things. And sometimes, unfortunately, the condition itself, even with a medication, it limits one's functioning. However, it's still more done or taken to help with someone's functionality as opposed to them being addicted to it. I guess I don't know if I made that seem kind of confusing the way that I was saying it, but essentially, some people may take opiates recreationally or for fun or to get high or things like that, but people with chronic pain a lot of times will have to take opiates to survive, to be able to deal with the pain, to be able to come to meetings like this, to be able to go out and do normal activities of daily living. And they don't get a high from the medication. It's just to be able to help them to function. And unfortunately, there are people out there who don't understand that, and so sometimes they'll label someone who takes an opiate as an addict when it's not the correct term to use. There is a physiologic dependence on something, because you take something for so long, you do become, it does stimulate the receptors so much in our bodies that we do develop a dependence or tolerance to it. But it doesn't mean that that's one's sole purpose in life is trying to acquire more and more of that drug. It's more to help someone function. And I just sort of threw this cartoon in there just to kind of show there are even different centers in the brain that are that deal with addiction versus dependence. The areas of the brain that deal with dependence are the thalamus and the brainstem. While the ones, these ones labeled on the right are just the addiction centers, and they're the same ones that are on the picture on the left, but more in the upper picture of it. So the prefrontal cortex, nucleus accumbens, ventral tegmental area, those are areas of the brain that are associated with addiction, but not as much on dependence. So I just wanted to show you there are actual areas of the brain that differentiate the two. Excuse me, and this is just a chart that I found that was interesting that sort of talked about the same thing, addiction versus dependence. So let's give you a second to read it. So it's just another way to break the information down. Anyway, so
now, you say pain patients would have a relief from the next point. Does that matter? No matter what drugs they're on, even if the drugs make them cloudy?
well, it's more that the idea of the medication is trying to help them to be able to. I mean, it may say go back to work, but it's more to function at to get to a functional level. Unfortunately, yeah, some of the side effects of medications do cloud one's thinking.
But as a doctor, how do you set the borders on? Where do you draw the line on that?
Well, I mean, the reason that the medications are being taken to begin with, I think was where I'd be drawing the line. If it's being taken for fun or to get high versus to be able to do one's activities of daily living, I think is more living. But unfortunately, with any medication that's taken, there are always going to be side effects, and so. It's essentially weighing the pros versus the cons of taking the medication. Yeah, because I mean, whether they cloud one's thinking or some of the other classic ones with opiates are like GI effects, like either causing constipation, sometimes nausea, and yeah, there are just many side effects that just have to be weighed and determine whether or not this medication is something that one wants to continue taking if the side effects can be dealt with. So, yeah. This is just the medication sheet that I printed out, and like just I was saying earlier, it's just something good to have to bring with you when you go see healthcare professionals, either to give them copies of it or just to kind of help you organize the medications, like how long you've taken them for, why they're being taken, and I just got your last text, I think. Oh, it's not your fault. It's big.
Yeah, so when I walk out, all this text is now too.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just to help like with organizing everything, because when you go into a health professional, not only does it help them understand what you're taking and how long, it also helps you as a patient to look more organized and that you're in charge of your care. Because unfortunately, a lot of health professionals think that patients with chronic pain are drug seeking when they're not at all. But to have this organized, I think just really helps legitimize that you're taking these medications for an actual purpose and not just to get high. This was just something that I came up with. Feel free to use it, change it, like however way you want to do it. I just thought it would be a good template. And if you want an electronic version, I'm happy to send it out as well.
It's also really important to write down the drugs that you've taken and have failed on. So when doctors say, well, why are you taking that? Because I tried this one, and that one, and they didn't work for me because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and to have, yeah, and so also even having a separate or included on the sheet which ones you've taken, for how, which ones you took, and how long you took them for, but they didn't work.
What side effects you had.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Further strengthens it, because a doctor may want to put you back on a medication that you know would not be good for you. They may want to put you on something that you could be open to, that you tried in the past, but you felt like it really didn't work, and you could say, like, you know, this is why, but maybe I'd be willing to take it again. But then if you feel like, no, this is something I'm absolutely not okay to take again, and you have it on your sheet saying why, like it gave you such harsh side effects, especially because remembering a lot of this information can be difficult. So as soon as you get a new prescription for medication or a new dosage change, including it on here is helpful as well, just to keep it all organized. Yeah, they're on the within the packets, on the last page. I think there are also some. Yeah, on the back of the last page. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there are some single copies of it as well. Yeah, but and then if anyone wants to.
It helps you because, like, if you end up at the hospital or you're with a new doctor, then you've got this stuff and it's dated farther back, you know. So it's like they know that you're not just going, oh well, I can't take that because you're making something up, or you know, it's a spur of the moment type thing. At least it's like, you know,
yeah, absolutely.
History kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are, like apps you can have on your phone that you can show them and do that. I keep copies of both mine and Jen's meds on my phone, like a PDF or Word version on my phone, just in case I don't have a paper version available. But I mean, if you can stick one in your wallet or purse or anything like that, it's always helpful as well. So, and these were some resources I found on RSDSA's website that I think everyone's probably seen before, but I just found them to be a good idea, especially this one, the hospital protocol for RSD or CRPS. I think is really great that they came up with this. And yeah, it's another one that would be great to always like have in your wallet or purse, just to, in case you do go to the hospital. Another thing actually that I've talked to a couple people about, if they are in the hospital for, and unfortunately sometimes when like you're at the hospital and maybe asleep, but they have to get an IV started or check blood pressure. If there's a particular area of the body that you cannot have anyone touch because it's too painful to do, although it'll be painful initially to do this, I would suggest using a non-permanent marker and writing no blood pressure, no IV on that area. So although it will be painful to write that, then in the future, the health professionals know, do not touch this limb, do not do anything with it, and because they may forget during a procedure that happens, and it's really unfortunate when someone wakes up or something happens where that limb is being touched and it should not have been, but unfortunately someone forgot. So just having that written on you is just helpful to remind those health professionals not to do it. These are some other resources that I found that were specific just for helping, and then I think these are some of the research studies that I found that are ongoing, whether or not they're in the U.S. Some are in the U.S., some are not, and then RSDSA actually has a YouTube channel where they have information about the studies or videos about them, as well as speakers who have come to their conferences to talk about things. And these are, just really interesting because it'll be some of the top doctors in the world talking about their research. So, I threw in some multiple choice questions to make it kind of like in med school. We after you learn something in a lecture, you're usually quizzed on things. However, this was a lot of information that I threw at you guys, and so I don't know how if it's something we really want to do. So it's one that I found from another site anyway that's RSD specific. But I mean, I didn't put these in any of the presentations, but I'd be happy to send them to you guys if you'd want them. So because I mean they were kind of interesting. So yeah, that was about it. I mean, there was a lot of information that I threw at you guys, and I mean, I don't know. I hope that was helpful, but.
Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much, Dane. Excellent presentation.
Yeah, and like I said, yeah, this one's slightly different than the one I emailed out, so I'm happy to email it out to everyone if they would like it as well. Actually, I'll just, yeah, go ahead and do that so that it's at, because I also, as well, the Nucleus medical media video, I don't know if that link was included in some of the documents, so, yeah. Any other questions, or? Oh, sorry.
In that, the differences in the brain areas involved in dependence and addiction, what was the third in the addiction? I've got the ventral tegmental area and the nucleus accumbens. What was the third one?
Oh, prefrontal cortex? Did it not print? Oh, wow, I'm seeing
I just didn't get it written down fast enough.
Oh, sorry, okay. I'm actually seeing that, not everything printed out.
It's on the slide.
Yeah, oh no, I'll go back to it, but actually I'm just noticing certain things didn't print out correctly.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, actually, it looks like certain little bits of information didn't completely print.